My mother shamed me for years after marriage and is now trying to marry off my minor daughters, even giving strangers their phone numbers. Police are involved, and we're fighting to protect our family. Plus 2 updates. Posted by Scaredy Cat 1122. I can't believe I ever had to make a post about my mother, but here we are. My 45F mother, 71F, and I have a difficult relationship. My mother was an old-school, traditional wife. She was a homemaker, never worked outside the house, and had far more kids than I think is healthy, 7 girls and 6 boys. She is originally from Guatemala and came to the U.S. when she was 14. She married my father here, had her family here, and tried to make sure my siblings and I had old-school values, something she really failed at. Most of my siblings are as far from my mother as humanly possible. 2 of them, sadly, passed away. I'm the only one who stayed nearby to take care of my parents, and since Dad died, I've been covering my mother's bills so she can live easily. She's always been a dramatic headache, especially when it came to my marriage. She babied my husband and always took his side. I only wanted 1 kid, but my husband wanted as many as biologically possible. He had told me he also only wanted 1 when we discussed marriage. My mother helped him mess with my birth control, which resulted in my youngest daughter. I don't regret my youngest daughter, but after she was born, I secretly had my tubes tied. My mother always berated me for being faulty since I only had 2 children. That's not counting how she berated me for marrying old. I married at 22. She married at 16. My husband was 49 when he died in a car crash recently. We shared 2 daughters, 14 and 16. He was also having an affair with a girl since 2020. The girl was 24 when she died. Together, they had twin boys earlier this year, who thankfully survived the crash. My daughters found out about the affair first when their father took them to the hospital to meet the babies and told them to keep it a secret from me. They didn't, and my husband became abusive toward them and me. We were in the divorce process when he died. When my husband's affair came out, my mother blamed me. She said it was because I was a working woman who didn't please her husband, that I didn't give him enough children, and that I wasn't pretty anymore. I'm not going to say I'm super attractive, but I think I look good for my age. I've kept my weight well enough, and I look relatively young. But no, according to my dear mother, I wasn't good enough for my husband, who needed a girl closer in age to our daughters than to him. She was also one of the people angry at me when I refused to adopt my husband's affair children. Her newest crazy idea is trying to find husbands for my daughters, mainly focusing on my eldest. This ridiculous plan started this week when my eldest came out to us. I had an idea, and I'm happy she felt comfortable enough in this massive mess we're in to still tell me and her sister. My daughter also decided to tell my mother about it. My mother just ended the call and then called me to scream about how confused and sick my daughter is. She sent me links to conversion camps, psychologists who claim homosexuality is a sickness, wackos, in my opinion, political articles, and more. She even suggested doing an exorcism. I told her to stop or she would be cut off. She stopped for literally 24 hours. Then I received a Facebook message from a man in his mid-20s asking if it was true that I was looking to marry off my 16-year-old daughter. I told him he was sick and blocked him. I got 6 more messages through the night. Then my mother called, saying she had found husband prospects for my girls, my high school-age girls. Angry has been an understatement. She even gave some of these men my daughter's cell phone numbers. We're all getting new phone numbers tomorrow, and I had the girls put their social media accounts on private. I don't know what's broken in my mother's brain. I had the girls block their grandmother on everything, and I'm stopping payments for anything my mother needs. I know I need to call the cops. I just never thought I would have to call the cops on my own mother. It's been only 2 weeks since I had to cut off my in-laws. I'm just exhausted. And please, do not think this is a normal Hispanic thing. It's not. My aunts are amazing women, most of them also homemakers. They are actually on my side in cutting off my mother and calling the cops. They even suggested my daughters and I move closer to them in another state. This is just my mother being insane. We went to the police today, and they took all the information I had. The officer we spoke to was incredible and immediately helped my lawyer with everything needed for a temporary restraining order. We'll be filing it this week and hopefully getting it within the month. After that, we'll focus on a permanent restraining order. This applies to my mother and any third parties acting on her behalf. The officer was also kind enough to offer to check on us and our house at least once a day. The school has been notified of the situation, and one of my brothers is going to come live with my daughters and me until we decide if, where, when we'll move. I can't just up and pack everything, since I still have a job and my girls are in the middle of the school year. For now, we're safe, and my girls have new phone numbers. Update 1 month later. Some good news came out today regarding my mother. As of November, she will be on her own financially. There's also an investigation into her regarding what she tried to do to my daughters, and a very old investigation reopened about a family matter I can't really speak about for the time being. Because of the charges against my mother, we might get an expedited restraining order since minors are involved, so fingers crossed. The restraining order will also prevent others, mainly in-laws, from contacting me. After talking to my daughters, the three of us agree we don't really like our house anymore. It makes me a bit sad because it was my childhood home and a gift from my dad, but there's too much baggage. I feel like the ghost of my husband's infidelity is everywhere. My girls don't like being so close to their grandparents, and my brother, who moved in with us, has been blunt about how the house isn't worth the stress. So I'm planning to do some repairs and either sell or rent it out. It's a big house, 9 bedrooms, far more space than we need. I'll be happy with half that, so my girls can have their own rooms and I can have an office. My brother will also continue living with us after we move. I'm not sure if it's a forever situation, but he's been a great support for my eldest daughter regarding LGBTQ+ matters. My brother is gay and came out almost 30 years ago, so he's been a fountain of advice and resources for her. My youngest has also started doing better. She's back to talking as usual and seems less scared about going out. She's been very excited about house hunting with me and wants the perfect yard. My job offered a transfer out of state, also an international transfer, but that's more likely a no for me. A new beginning will do us good. Second update 5 days later. This is a small update, but wanted to let everyone know we're doing okay. I still can't share many details, but we finally have a court date for the restraining order. It took longer than I expected, but things have been somewhat quiet. I'll let you all know more when I can.